Welcome to the world of horror with Mom and Mac. I'm Mom.
And I'm Mac.
This is the podcast where we share our love of international horror, and at the end of the year, we do some kind of end of the year review. Today, Mac and I are going to break down some of the 16 films we covered on the podcast last year and talk about them in the context of some categories I made up. Also, I think we did 16 shows together, but I included Videodrome, which we did with Stefan. Anyway, and Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. It's not a precise science, you guys.
It's like, it's not baking, it's cooking.
Yeah.
I don't do either, so.
Let's move on to our first segment, Mom and Mac Chat. Hi, Mac. How's it going?
Hi, Mom. It's good. Yeah, it's good. I enjoy not being at work, but I have just been lazy. And that's about it. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. I, too, am enjoying not being at work.
It's nice.
I officially go back in 5 days, but I might go back the day before just to sit in my office and kind of get back into the groove. Today I'm meeting a friend who also teaches that critical thinking course, and we're going to kind of compare notes. And I don't have as many notes as I had wanted, but that's okay. Sometimes I'm sure they did this when you were in high school. Did you ever have to take those tests to find out what kind of a learner are you?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No, but I would have loved to take a test like that.
Oh, you should try something online. I mean, do you have any idea how you best learn?
I think I do. I know how I think so. I know that if somebody just gives me verbal directions, I'm never going to remember them. I need to write them down, or need to have something written down so I can reread it 100 times. So I don't know what that is, but it's definitely not you can't just tell me to do something. It's out, they told me all this stuff at the vet and I'm like, why don't they give me a report afterwards? Cause I don't know. And then I feel kind of like an idiot cause then people are asking me what happened at the vet. And I'm like, honestly, I don't remember because they just spoke. And I'm just thinking the whole time, is my cat okay? Is my cat okay? So nothing's sticking,
One thing I've started to do, baby steps started to do, is to ask for stuff like that. And you don't have to tell them why. You can just say, would you mind if you either allow me to take some notes or write those notes down? Because I feel like I'm going to forget what you said.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I always tell my students, you can talk to me and you can tell me something to my face, but if you don't follow up with an email, I will forget. And not every time, but that's my policy because I'm the same way. I need words, I think. So I guess I'm a verbal learner because words are very helpful to me. Pictures are not good for me. If I have to assemble a piece of furniture or one way to tell is if someone were to give you directions, would you rather have a drawing or someone to tell you, what are those called? Milestones? Landmarks? Go to the church and then turn right when you hit the liquor store. Those are not great for me, but if you write it down, that's good for me.
Yeah.
But I bring all this up because I also think I'm an interpersonal learner. So if I want to learn something or remember something, it's kind of good to talk it out with another person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that too. If I I can feel the gears in my head turning when I talk to someone, and I know when I don't know, and I feel like they know when I don't know what they're saying either, because they'll get a look on their face like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not sure." I think I like diagrams and written things. I do I love me a good diagram, but yeah, I guess just if you say something with your mouth to me, it's gone.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I feel like I've gotten worse the older I've gotten, but I don't think I was ever very good at it.
Yeah.
It just is not a modality that works particularly well for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you send me an email, I'll read it and I might remember to flag it. My memory, my mental state now is kind of like I have to do, usually I'll do something if I can right in the moment. So if
Mm-hmm.
it's like, checking a grade or something like that, I'll usually just do it.
Yeah, I learned that I have to do that because if I don't, it's not going to happen. Because then it just turns into like, oh, I don't wanna. And like the longer you go without doing it, the larger the I don't wanna gets. So it's better to just kill the I don't wanna right there.
Yeah. And also, if I can just take care of it in the moment, then it's done. And I don't have to like think, what was that thing I had to
Yeah.
do for that one student? I've been watching a lot of reels about
Hmm.
neurodivergence and I'm learning some of the language and stuff. And there's a guy who, well, he has dysgraphia. I don't have dysgraphia, but I always wondered why I
What is
sometimes,
that?
it's any problems with writing.
Oh.
I sometimes have problems with numbers. Like
Mm.
I always called it dyslexia, but just with numbers. But there's a word for that. I can't remember what it is. I was going to say dyscalculate or something, but that it's not. It's not adding up numbers. It's like if you told me your address is 2117, I might. Well, that one I'll probably get. But if you told me it was 2137, I might think it's 2317 or something like that.
Mm.
Like I
Yeah.
just flip numbers sometimes.
Yeah.
So I have that, and there is a name for it, but I can't remember what it is.
Dyscalculia.
Yeah, something like that.
It's that.
Oh, it is for sure.
No, it's not.
It didn't sound right, but
If you say it with enough confidence, people
yeah,
they think they can trust you.
yeah, I've
They
learned
put their
that.
faith in you.
I've learned that through teaching, and now that my students get younger and younger, you know, they're just
They're only more
they don't
trusting.
know shit, man. I could tell them
Oh.
anything.
It's like scary how easily I can fool Alan sometimes where I'll
Oh,
just be like, "You don't know this? It's actually this." And he'll be like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "No, I was lying. You can't believe me."
don't trust me.
Never trust me.
There was a line like that in Slow Horses. I think it's in season 2. I watched all of them all over again because
What's that?
it's a show on Apple TV and
Mm.
it's based on a series of novels and it's spy stuff.
Ooh, you love a good spy stuff.
I love that stuff. They've done 3 seasons of this show and it's an English show, so there are like this last season there's only 6 episodes. But the last one came out. I've seen them all. But while I was waiting for that last one to come out, I just went ahead and watched the whole thing over again.
Hmm.
And the head of second desk, I don't know. Anyway, she's really high up. And she says to her underling, well, you shouldn't trust him. And you shouldn't trust me either. Just, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really clever writing. So listening to the novels is really fun because I can sort of backwards, like put it back together in my head.
Mm.
And
Did they do a good like adaptation
yeah,
now that you've read
so
it?
far, yeah, so far they did.
That's a talent.
It really is because they had different characters do different things.
But it still
But it,
worked.
yeah, served the plot well. And yeah, very, very interesting. And one thing about the show, maybe about the novels too, is they kill off somebody, every novel or whatever. And the last one was a surprise. So
That's always great when like if you know they're gonna kill someone and it still surprises you. I feel like that's really good.
yeah, the one in the second series, it was a gut punch,
Mm.
So, but anyway.
I always wonder like because for me when I'm just the viewer or reader of something and I love it and I love the characters and I'm like I've there's an anime slash manga I really like called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and like it's just a thing that so many of the characters are gonna die. It's just what the writer does. But like so then you begin to like anticipate it and I get so like sad because I'm like, I love this
Mm,
character. I don't want to see him in peril. And then I wonder like what's the author doing, just sitting at his desk like like, yeah, twiddling his fingers like, oh, they're gonna hate this.
I feel like with this series, it is, but I feel like the deaths sort of help you understand other characters, like in terms of how they react to it and things like that. So I don't think it's purely,
Oh yeah, not just devious, but there's a little bit of deviousness.
I'm sure there
By
is.
like, because they're making you like the person,
Yeah.
knowing that they're gonna do it. That's devious.
So this is kind of putting you on the spot, like big time. But we're about to talk about all the films that we covered. And I was wondering if there was something that really stuck out to you from last year that you really liked watching a movie or a TV show or anime. I know you're probably still deep in One Piece, but
It's true. And so stuff we didn't cover?
Stuff we didn't cover, just stuff that you enjoyed on your own.
Okay, hold on. Let me real quick open up my Goodreads because that will be a better thing. This year, oh yes, okay. I read this book called Wasps in the Ice Cream by Tim McGregor, and it was like classified as horror. I wouldn't say it feels more like coming of age, but it's like, to me, this is bold words, but I feel like this is what sometimes Stephen King wishes he could be with a coming of age. And that's a, real intense thing to say, but I think it's true. I feel like I did not grow up as like, a young cis boy in the 80s, but this character did. And I just feel like it's captured in a way that is respectful, but also real. And I loved it. And also, I read this book called Mayfly by C.J. Lead. Now, this book, I would be surprised if it did not get a film adaptation, because it was described as like the female American Psycho, and I think that's a good description. Like, it's obviously much more than that, but it's like a very distinctly like female perspective of a person who is really fucked up and murders people. And that was, I think, done very well. And let's see. Yeah, I read a lot of stinkers this year in terms of books. And this is kind of known already to a lot of people, but I also read the book Song of Achilles, not a horror novel at all, but Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. That's a great book. Highly recommend. If you have not read it, I would highly recommend it. I was like listening to the audiobook just like sobbing in my car.
Oh, great. No, just kidding.
In the best way.
Let me get a notebook because I will forget it if I don't write it down.
I feel like you would really like it. It's about Achilles. And it just tells a story of, well, it's more from Patroclus's perspective, who is like Achilles' BFF/lover. I won't give anything else away.
I can't think of any books right now. I mean, I read a lot of nonfiction that wouldn't be interesting to anybody unless they teach philosophy. But I just watched Anatomy of a Fall, and I bought it because I was hearing all these good things about it, and it kept not being available. It became available on Prime on Christmas Day, and
Ooh, Merry Christmas.
And it is really good for everybody, but it's really good for me because it's got legal stuff, and it's kind of, I was trying to write a letterboxd review, but it was just really difficult. But basically, the courtroom stuff is just one aspect of this exploration of truth. Like, what is truth? What can you believe? And there are reenactments, there are eyewitnesses and ear witnesses, and I just memories, and just like all these things that can interfere with knowing the truth and different perspectives. And it's really such a good movie, and I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it was right up my street. I like up my street better than up my alley. What do you think?
Up my avenue?
Up my avenue. Up my boulevard.
Up my ass. Sorry.
That's what quite a nice 8 because up my alley just sounds like up my ass.
Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is really up my ass. I just like, it's like great for me. I mean, it's just like somebody understands, like, but not just for me. I think, it won the Palme d'Or. Everybody loves it. And I was telling friends of the show, Devin, Sully, and Cindy came over yesterday. And I was telling them that when there's a lot of hype around something, I'm usually like, it's not going to be that good. But you can believe the hype on this one.
That's such a great, like, that reminds me, there was a great moment on Yeah, Dude, where, like, I think Seth had just watched Breaking Bad, like, so many years later. And he was like, listen, I know, Jonathan, you were telling me, like, it's that good. All the hype, it's real, but I did not believe you. He's like, why weren't you, he just said something like, why weren't you firmer? Like, it is that good. I just thought you were just, like, talking out of your ass, but it is actually that good. And I feel like that's such a real feeling of when, because so many things get hyped up and you only have so much time in your life, so you can't watch it all. But then you watch something and you're like, damn, they were right.
Yeah.
It's that good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's I have a corollary to that. The only thing I've been thinking about is Talk to Me, that movie, because that had so much hype. Do you think it lived up to the hype?
I feel like I had a different perspective because right before we watched it, Kimmy said that she watched it. And now, mind you, she had wanted to see a different movie, but like because of her friend, like they got there late or something. So the only tickets available were Talk to Me. So she didn't even want to see that movie. And she was like, it's so bad. It's horrible. And I was like, well, I'm about to watch it with my mom. She was like, well, good luck because it sucks. So I went in thinking, well, this is going to be dog shit. So I liked it, but...
But you went in thinking it was going to be terrible.
The bar was like below the ground.
Yeah.
But it was really good and it did freak me out. Like, it's one of those horror movies where I'm like, I don't really feel like I want to watch that again, but in a good way.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got what I needed out of it.
One of my favorite things this year was I showed my beef. I'm going to call him my beef.
Okay. I love that phrase.
The thing is, we're in our 50s, and I've been trying to find a term that's not boyfriend, girlfriend.
What about partner?
We hate it. I hate it.
Oh, why?
I don't like the sound of the word.
Partner.
And I don't think it's clear enough. Because you could have a business partner, a writing partner, a podcast partner, or a sexy partner. But I don't want to tell people he's my sexy partner. That's like inappropriate. And
my lover.
My lover.
The worst one to use.
I have heard, like, I'm trying to think of who it was. It's somebody I actually know used that term.
That's gross.
And I'm like, why are you saying that?
Why would you? It's like, we already can understand you probably bone. Like, you don't need to say it out loud. I hate, unless you are like a vampire, you can't use the word lover. A vampire can use it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Acceptable.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, from a different time period.
You're a time traveler?
Yeah, if you're a time traveler, I'll allow it. But if you are from this era, absolutely the fuck not. Grow up.
So there is a German word, but I don't speak German, but it's something like the person I'm spending this phase of my life with.
That feels more like business partner. This is the person I'm spending 8 hours of my day with.
Anyway, so I've researched this and I haven't come across anything that really seems appropriate, but I ran good. Beef by him. And he sent me a smiley emoji. And so
we're good.
We're good. So one of my favorite things was that I showed my beef the movie X.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't watch a whole lot of horror. And he said at the end of it, okay, if you can find more movies like this, then I'll be happy to watch them with you. And I was like, well, I mean...
a tall order. You can find more movies that are really good and unlike anything you've seen.
And that scene, the one that made me squirm so bad in the theater, did it again, man.
It's so good.
Oh boy. And it's very long. I didn't realize how long it is. Like, she gets all up in her face and her body, and she's like smelling her.
She's so grimy too.
Blah. It is rough.
But in the best way.
Mm-hmm. So, Mac, do you want to talk about the films we looked at last year?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me just list them off first in the order that we did them. The Day After, Threads, The Taking of Deborah Logan, Relic, Mad God, Grave of the Fireflies, The Birds, Black Sheep, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, Candyman from 92, La Llorona, The Lighthouse, The Northman, or The Northman, VHS, Three Extremes 2, Tenebrae, You're Next, The Exorcist, The Wailing, House of the Devil, The Innkeepers, In the Mouth of Madness, Burning, Wages of Fear, Sorcerer, Wendell and Wild, Unicorn Wars, Poltergeist, The Others, Dr. Terror's House of Horror, I think it is. I think I've been mispronouncing it every single time. Videodrome, Rigor Mortis, and Shadow of the Vampire.
So many.
I know.
We were busy.
I think it's our biggest year.
Really?
Well, not sure. But there were 30 total shows, so that includes the ones we did together, the ones we did with guests, the ones that I did with Quinn. And so, yeah, there were quite a few.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, first on the list of categories was favorite first watch overall, and I said Wendell and Wild. I just feel like for me this felt like a new classic for me, like a movie that I can watch multiple times, and I have watched it again since, and I just felt like it was very creative and magical and a story that I would like to see be told. And I feel like it told a very poignant story, but it never came across as like preachy or anything. Like, I feel like while it's good that a lot of films and TV shows are trying to bring up very difficult topics, not everybody does it sincerely. But I felt like this was a very sincere and earnest take on, like, gentrification and the prison system and trauma and whatnot. And I heard it was good, so I went in thinking this is going to be good, and it was very good. So
yeah,
I'm
glad you brought it to the table because I didn't really know about it.
Yeah,
and so I'm glad I watched it. And Wolf Like Me, made it back into rotation on my Spotify.
So
Love
good.
that fucking song. Mine was The Wages of Fear, which I had never seen, and Comfort Films podcast brought this to us along with Sorcerer. And I'll put all the episodes in the show notes, but I had never seen this and I really, really enjoyed it a lot. It stuck with me, and I'm sure I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
It was just like gorgeous black and white, and the performances were amazing. And just the whole, anytime there's a critique of capitalism,
Wow.
I'm in.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
It was so good. Well, next on the list was favorite rewatch overall. For me, I wrote Burning because the first time I watched it, I really don't think I understood it or appreciated it. So I really sat down. But it's like the first time we watched it, I was like I don't get it. I don't like it. But then you and Quinn were like, this movie is amazing. And so I was like, okay. One of those moments where you have to accept, like, maybe I'm the one in the wrong. And so I was open to trying it again. And I'm so glad that I did. I feel like I get it now. And uh, I loved it. And I've thought about it a lot, like actually a lot since watching it. And I actually watched a YouTube video about understated performances. I can't remember who it was by, but he talked about Stephen Yun's, like particularly that scene where the girl is like showing off the dance she learned, and Stephen Yun just looks at the main character and like yawns and makes like a little face. And I was like, that was a great moment. Just a great film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really want to get you on. I think it's Chang Dong is the director.
Mm-hmm.
I want to watch all of his films with
We
you.
should.
And yeah, I loaned you one. I think it was either Oasis or Poetry, but he's just so darn good.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love that one too. And I think that was one of the options for me as well. Also, I've thought about it a lot since we've talked about it. And I think one of the takes on it that we did not discuss is that he wrote the whole thing.
Mm.
So the last shot of him in the apartment writing, some people have interpreted that to mean that the whole thing was his fictional creation.
I could see that too.
Yeah, I can see it. My favorite rewatch overall was Candyman.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, it really is. Really haven't seen it that many times in my life. And I watched it when it came out. And then I think we watched it for Squad. And then we watched it for the podcast. And it's such a solid film.
Yeah. It hits like all the notes. And it's beautiful. And the soundtrack's amazing. I gotta read more Clive Barker novels. It's like I think I've only read one, and it was one that has not been adapted. It's called I think it was called Lonely Heart Canyon or something like that. And it was really good, really long, but very good. And he's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The next category is on second thought, one you initially loved and then changed your mind, or vice versa. For mine, this was more of a long on second thought, but I wrote down VHS because when I first saw it in my youth, I just was like, wow, great movie. I love horror movies. I love anthologies. And I really did not ever watch it again until this year. And so I'm pretty sure I watched it the year it came out. So I hold on. What year did it came out? IMDb. It came out in 2012. Okay, yeah. So yeah, like 11 years later, watching it, I was like, this shit sucks. Like, damn, this is a piece of shit movie. So horrible. It's like when when you're young and you might see a first of a something, or when you first when you're first getting into like reading, you don't really know what a bad book is yet. And then you read more and then you're like, wait, this shit sucks. That's how this was for me. Was damn, horror movies are great. This is awesome. And then I watched like 5 more movies. You only have to watch one more movie and then you'd realize this is bad. Well, you'd only have to watch it in 2023 and know that it's bad. But anyways, this shit sucks. And everyone who participated should be disappointed in themselves. It's like offensive how bad it is. And not just like, I mean, in an art way. I mean, in like a socially acceptable things you should not fucking put in a film way. And it reminded me of how, like, there's a lot of virtue signaling sometimes in some things. Like, I think sometimes people want to seem like they are with it or knowledgeable of current events when they put things in their movie. But I will honestly take that over the like blatant misogyny that I'm not saying is gone, but was like running rampant, like watching this, watching it over again reminded me of how so many movies I watched growing up it was just like normal to hate women and to just see them as disposable, and to have your movie be about like guys being dudes, fucking chicks, and just being horrible. And I'm so glad that that's an embarrassing thing to do now.
Yeah, me too. And sometimes when we watch films, even, you know, 10, 11, 12 years ago, and it just seems like the world was completely different. It's kind of a shock to the system.
Yeah.
Like, it really makes, it just reminds me of this science fiction story I read when I was in high school, I think. I don't remember the name. It was by Spider Robinson, I believe. And it was about a guy who got out of prison after 17 years. And of course, it was pre-internet and everything like that. So he was just talking about how much the world had changed in 17 years. And he felt he had a really hard time adjusting to life on the outside after that. And that just always stuck with me, because when you think about it, 17 years, I mean, doesn't seem like that long. But yeah, I totally agree. And it was upsetting. Like, it was an
Right?
unpleasant watch.
Yeah. Because there were so many horrible acts brought up, but it was like they were depicting a horrible thing, but then saying, and this is normal, a thing we all do, right? And that we think is funny. Whereas, like, it would have made more sense to have it in there and then be like, and look at how horrible this is. We'll never do this as people, right? So that was what was shocking. And how so many like comedy movies too at the time, the plot was just always schlubby asshole guy who brings nothing to the table, fucks bitches. Like, that was all movies at a time. And that was really damaging as a young, at the time, girl growing up looking at. Like, it, it was extremely damaging. And so, again, I'm just glad that that's like, I'm not saying it's totally in the past. Misogyny is not over, but like, I think you would get more pushback having something like that now.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mine was Unicorn Wars, Mac.
Is that my fault?
That's okay. Is one of the things I really like about talking about movies with you is that we don't have the same viewpoint, and we can disagree, and we can change each other's mind. And the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. Now, I think the animation is great.
Oh,
I think there are a
beautiful.
lot of great things in it. And I think I haven't seen the guy's film. There was one that came right before this one, something about a bird. I'll put it in the show notes. I can't remember. I haven't watched that one, but it also got a lot of acclaim. And I'll watch his next film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just liked it less after talking about it with you, and then as I thought about it
It's my
more and
special
more. But that's okay. I mean, I like it that can happen, with each other.
Yeah.
And
I do like that
sort
we
of a
can be honest because, I mean, listen, I love every guest that we've ever had on, but I've talked about this before of like, I don't always know if I'm not 100% comfortable with someone how to broach the topic of I don't agree with you on this, It's like something that does require a lot of trust to be, cuz you never want to come off as my fear is that I'm going to offend somebody, or like if they like something, I'm going to make them upset because it's very personal to like something, and if somebody doesn't like something you like, it can feel like a personal attack. So
Mhm.
I feel very glad that we feel comfortable enough to share that with each other, that like we both know that we're not attacking the other person's opinion.
Yeah.
And I know none of our guests would think that either. It's just my brain, there's like a wall, that's just like you can't even, for me, it's like the dialogue option's not even there. It's like, don't even try.
That happened to me yesterday, actually, with Sully and Devin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were talking about movies that we liked last year, and they mentioned this movie Skinamarink,
Hmm.
and I hated it. I hated it. I don't like it that it exists. I'm offended that people liked it. I have actually very personal reasons why I hated that movie. Um, a lot of them come down to me.
Yeah.
Some of them come down to the filmmaker. I think that the filmmaker, made this art avant-garde film not well.
Yeah.
uh, but the thing I didn't like about it is it just starts with two children waking up in a house with no adults. And I did that sometimes as a kid. So it was a little bit too real for
Yeah.
me, and that's me. That's my problem. But I was surprised that people I really respect in terms of their opinion on film really liked it. So that's the part where I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And, but I just kind of shut up because I didn't want to have an awkward moment, I guess.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
It's tough because I don't know. I don't know how you breach that, because I feel like that is like true. I don't remember what. Oh, I think I was watching somebody play like a very obscure indie horror game. It's like not even worth mentioning the title, but something that I really liked was like a dialogue between one of the characters was it was showing these two people fighting, and then somebody else said that just shows how close they are. Like, because they are so close, they can
Right.
fight. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously that's, there's going too far, but I do feel like there is truth in that of like, I feel like level 1 friendship is just we like each other and we're hanging out. We like each other a lot. But the next level is when you're able to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Yeah.
that's the next step, and it's so hard to like breach that, because in doing that, I feel like the fear is that you might lose level 1. Like that might be gone to you forever.
Yeah. But one thing I like about having conversations with you is that you don't, or rarely do you just say, I just didn't like it. You usually have very good reasons why you like or don't like something.
Hmm.
And so it's fun to disagree because you're coming with a point of view and a set of, reasons why you're not just like, I didn't vibe with it.
Yeah.
Like that to me is a really unsatisfying answer.
Yeah. Because it's hard to
So
talk about it then if they're just like, well, I don't like it. That's
yeah.
it.
I think I've been guilty of that. Like sometimes because it's true. Sometimes you're just like, nope, not for me.
And I feel like that's how I to bring it all back to the witch. It's like movies like that. That's how I feel about it sometimes. Where it's like I've tried it and I don't know. I don't know why you like it. Not you specifically. I don't know why a person likes this, but I just don't.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a guy at work who is really into film, and he just kept bringing that movie up. And he's like, I can't believe you don't like it. I said, as I've said, I like it up until the ending. And he
Yeah.
goes, the ending's the best part. I'm like, okay, we disagree about that. And I don't know what else I can tell you that I haven't already told you. I think there's a lot to recommend that film,
Yeah.
but I don't like the ending. And then a week later, I can't believe it. I mean, you usually have such good taste. I'm just
Oh,
like,
okay.
why are you beating this fucking dead horse, dude?
Yeah. You're
Like, we're
like, this
not
guy's
going to
obsessed. He's like
agree.
looking at the mirror at night, like, why doesn't she like the film?
I guess so. But it gets annoying after a while. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Because I've read essays on it and I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. I have given it a fair shot.
I feel like I've watched it more than some people who like the film. Like
Yeah.
in my attempt to like it. It's
Yes.
not for lack of trying. um, well, the next category we have is least favorite watch overall. Mine was Mad God, because I just, I was disappointed. I'll say that. I was disappointed, and no part of me enjoyed it. Like, the only thing I enjoy is the story, and it's depressing saying that. I sincerely hope that the creator of that never knows this opinion. It's like he worked so hard on it, and I respect that. And I do feel like, if nothing else, it is a feat. It is a testament. You can see the hard work, And that's literally it. I don't
Hmm.
like it. Nothing. I don't like anything about it. And I feel like it sucks that I even have to have like a preamble to saying I don't like it, because because as somebody who works hard on art, I don't want to like shit on an artist, but I don't like it.
I don't think anybody makes a film or an animated film or anything and puts it out in the world if they haven't put a lot of themselves in it.
It's true.
So I get what you're saying. That wasn't mine. Mine was actually the day after.
Which is a good one too, to not
Yeah,
like.
but I think I liked Mad God better than you did, but I didn't. Some people love it. Some people, it's on their letterboxed like top 4 or whatever, and that's cool. And didn't
But if
didn't like
anyone
it.
likes, if okay, if the day after is on anyone's top 4 list, that's like, what are you like? Mad God, I would understand. This is just a
Yeah,
difference in interest, but I feel like the day after is objectively bad.
yeah, it's pretty bad, especially when you look at Threads, which
Amazing.
I, no one needs to really make a movie on that topic ever again, because that one just sort of is perfect. There was a TV movie that I watched when we were doing that whole thing, and I don't remember the name of it, but I told you about it, and it was, I think, a nuclear bomb hits San Francisco or something, and so these people are in LA and they're cut off from the rest of the world. There's no communication, and people start dying, and this woman loses all her children, and that was just
Oh,
like,
woof.
yeah, it was hard, and really affecting in a way that the day after just wasn't.
It was just so like really after you watch Threads and then you watch the day after, it is like offensive. It's like, how dare
Yeah,
you? That's how I felt. Was how dare you? Because
it just
it didn't feel for something that would be the worst thing, like the scariest thing you can imagine. It was the least scary thing. It seemed like it was a bad hurricane, you
mm-hmm.
know? And it's like, no, we're talking about like the end of civilization as we know it. And you're all in like a gymnasium. Like, I don't know. It
Yeah,
sucked. Hard
yeah,
to
it really
watch,
did.
honestly. Well, on the flip side, the scariest watch, I, like you, put down Threats because I that is a chilling film. That is just like so freaky. Um it stays with you. It is like, even thinking about it now, it's like scary. And but the thing is, like, I would watch it again 100%. And I do love it, and I feel like, I don't know, it's just, it's haunting. So many parts of it are haunting. There's not even just one you can pinpoint.
Yeah, the kids watching the TV, that image sticks with me, and the loss of language,
Mhm.
really really affected me. Um, Threads was mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of scary, because we watch a lot of movies that are like shocking or disgusting or disturbing, but this one to me is straight up scary.
Yeah. And I feel like it's something, I don't know, I, our culture is obsessed with the idea of the end of the world, like I remember being a kid and everybody's talking about, the Mayan calendar ending. And so, as a child, that's in my mind of like, I'm pretty sure this is fake, but what if it's not? And it's a horrifying thing to think about, losing like everything that you love. So yeah, and also very real for some people, obviously. Like, I don't know, it's the images are not too far off from stuff that happens today, even if it's not on like a worldwide scale. It still happens on
Mhm.
a, you know, for some cultures and societies. And I feel like the movie shows how horrible that would be accurately. Cringiest watch overall, I put I copied you again. I put
So,
VHS because,
yep.
yeah, like we said before, there's just moments in that where you're just like, come on. Nobody thought to say no to this. And then I wrote Poltergeist at times because,
Oh,
yeah, in a similar vein of just, the whole scene with the construction workers catcalling a girl who's a minor and the mom just being like, oh, silly, silly men catcalling my daughter. That was upsetting.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Poltergeist was a close second for me too, just because, and also it's like familiarity breeds contempt kind of thing. Like that was my adolescence. I came out, when I was a kid, and you know, just that period of time, I think is just generally cringy.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah,
Best left in the past.
yes,
Favorite performance. Um, so even though I completely agree with yours to not continue to copy, I wrote down Jun Kunimura as the Japanese man from The Wailing. I
yeah,
just feel like he's so creepy. Like he just does such a and creepy. He does a lot of different creepy things. He's not one note. Like he's kind of unsettling when you don't really know who he is, and then when he goes full monster by the end, it's like like you're horrified. And he is good at all of it. And man, he just that is one of the best parts of that movie is him.
hmm yeah. And it was his first Korean movie, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Mine was Pahi Ching as Auntie Mui in Rigor Mortis.
So good.
Oh
God.
man, I just think about her. She's in my mind, and just like a good theater performance, where she's just purely responding. You can see what's going on in her head based on what's on her face, and very affecting.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That
yeah,
scene of her with, like, her monologue walking around her husband is, like, to me the most memorable scene in that movie. And that's like in a movie full of the craziest shit you've ever seen.
yeah,
So to
yeah.
have like one woman's monologue about the loss of her husband be the thing that sticks in your mind the most, I feel like shows just how, because it's not even that it's like all their performances were good. It's just that performance was like, whoa, like your eyes are glued to the screen. You cannot look away.
Yeah, next level. Really like masterful stuff.
Yeah, she deserves some sort of award or accolade.
Hmm
She gets our accolade, World of Horror's best performance of 2023.
Yeah.
For least favorite performance, I almost feel kind of bad saying this because when I look this guy up, he's got like no roles, but I had to pick Gary Gatewood as Delroy from Wendell and Wild. I just feel like
Oh.
that man. I feel bad. I looked him up. He doesn't even have a photo on IMDb, and he's only got 3 small roles. So I'm not saying that there's no hope for you, Gary, but you did not bring the energy. Like your character is falling into a river to his death, about to leave his only daughter alone in this world, and you're just like, oh no. Like it takes all the oomph out of the scene, and I can just imagine if they got a better actor, that scene would have been so much better. But he really kills the whole vibe, and he just brings no energy to the role. I was again, I just feel bad because I don't want to like punch down this guy. It's not like he's got a huge career or anything, but maybe this is why. And then in order to balance that out, I said plus Nicole Kidman in The Northman, just to give another to punch up. I had to balance the scales.
I kind of don't want to say this because I really love that. I think we should. She needs to be taken down. But I guess this is down to good direction, right? Because we loved her in the others.
Yeah, I would say best Nicole Kidman I've ever seen is in The Others.
And I just recently watched rewatched The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and she's pretty good in that.
It's like, I don't think she is the worst. I just feel like I would have preferred so many different actresses in that role. And I know this is like a sticking point for me. And I guess it's hard to find some actors who haven't had work done. And that's more of a testament to society, not Nicole Kidman, the woman. But just when it takes me the fuck out when you have a period piece, like the whole point of your movie is that it's in the past and you have someone with some of the most blatant plastic surgery I've ever seen. Like you got dirt under the fingernails. You can't have that and have Botox in the same frame. I'm sorry, you can't. And I'm women. It's not just women. I'm thinking also of. I remember I saw this bad Sopranos film, and Ray Liotta. Man, he played an identical twin in that movie, and it takes place in what, like the 70s? And I'm like, so both twins got the same bad plastic surgery, huh? That's crazy. Took me out.
Yep.
Like, I know that's
Yeah.
a weird thing to get taken out of, but
No,
for a period piece is the thing.
I think it's a fair point because part of what an actor's face is a part of the movie.
Yeah. And there's other actors.
Yeah, and there are other actors. Mine was Julie Carmen in The Mouth of Madness, just because she's bad, but also her badness is in stark contrast to Sam Neill's greatness, and it's just such a shame,
Yeah.
that he didn't have a stronger partner. I think the movie would have been like 10 times better, and it's great as it is, but yeah.
Yeah. I feel like in all these cases, it's just the fact that there's other actresses, there's other actors that you could have gotten that could have been, a breakout role for them or something. Like, it did not have to be this bad. That was a choice that you made. Nobody's sitting there
Yes.
thought, and we got a great performance out of everyone here. No
Right.
way. Next was a film that surprised you the most. I said The Innkeepers because I hadn't really ever, for some reason in my head, I just got The Innkeepers and The Others mixed up. So when you brought it up, I was like, yeah, I've seen that. Nicole Kidman. Yeah. But no, it's a different film. But I was shocked at just how much I loved it and how much it felt like, I guess in a similar way of Wendell and Wild, of like, just like a classic to me. It felt weird that I had never seen it because it felt like I should have already seen it. I think it's a solid movie, and kind of, I think sometimes horror movies that don't have a lot of blood and guts, which actually happens a lot now because so many things get like rated down to try to appeal to the masses. So you get less intense gore or language or whatever, so people can make it PG-13. And I often dislike that, but I feel like this is a kind of understated horror, and I think it does that very well. It's kind of like Goosebumps-esque in its horrorness, but it hits that note very well of like, this is more of like a, not childlike, but just less dark. It's still a
Yeah.
dark story, but it's more simple of just spooky ghost.
Yeah, it's more spooky,
Yeah.
I think.
And we need more of that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it kind of shows you that you don't need a whole lot of money to make a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, that scene of the two of them in the dark, and they're kind of doing the little seance, and she goes, "It's right behind you." Like, that's just so good. You don't need a spooky ghost. And I would say, oh man, I forgot his name, but the guy in that movie,
Pat Healy.
I would say I'm going to add him also to favorite performance because I just feel like he's great.
Yeah, he really is. Mine was Black Sheep, which is a New Zealand film. And what a fun time.
It was a delight.
It is. And it's hard to have a horror comedy. It's
very
really
hard.
Difficult. But I really liked this one a whole bunch. I wasn't familiar with it I just thought it was a great time.
Yeah.
And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I would definitely recommend it. And especially if you have people in your life who are not like hardcore horror heads,
They might like
I
it.
think this one you could both enjoy.
Yeah. I I wrote that one down too cuz I was thinking that I feel like some American creature features are so bad that the bar has now gotten so low for me, and every time I watch a movie that's not American that's a creature feature, it's very good. Like Boar from Australia, amazing movie. And
Mm-hmm.
I go into these thinking, "Oh, this is going to be like dog shit," cuz so many of them are, and I'm always blown away that you can make a creature feature and it not be total schlock. Like there
Yes.
is some schlock obviously because it's a scary creature, but especially black sheep. But I feel like they did it.
Yeah.
They did what I thought was impossible. So now we've gotten to actor or director or writer that you want to see more of. I've got a few here. I wrote never enough Willem Dafoe, but that's easy, low hanging fruit. Um, I wrote Yu Ah In from Burning, the main character. That one felt personal to me because of that one horrible Letterboxd review that was called him like a
Yes.
mouth breather or whatnot. I was like,
Yeah.
that review stuck with me because I thought that actor did a great job. I would like to see more of him. So this goes out to that reviewer specifically. I also wrote down Pa Hee Ching from Rigor Mortis. If I saw her more, I wouldn't be mad at it. And then for director, I wrote Lee Cheng Dong from Burning.
Yes.
So yes, I
Mm-hmm.
would like to watch more of his. Robert Eggers, the classic, and Ty West, um, another great. And then lastly, Henry Selick, who did Wendell and Wild and is kind of like, the stop motion claymation god. Um,
Yeah.
Never can get enough of him.
Wow, what a great list. I would echo all of that. I wrote down Jairo Bustamante, who, along with Lisandro Sanchez, wrote La Llorona, and
Mm,
Bustamante directed it. And I thought that there were some really incredible things that he did in that film. And the imagery, I mean, the cinematographer, too.
yeah.
There's a really great marriage there between the director and the cinematographer. And I just thought it all worked. I thought it was a super strong film. And what an interesting take on the folktale to talk about the genocide in Guatemala.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought it was pretty powerful, and I would like to see more from that team.
Me too.
Well, thanks, Mac, for talking with me about all these movies. I thought that was a pretty solid year of podcasting.
I think so too. I think we had a lot of bangers. And I feel like, I feel like my horizons were broadened this year. Like there was a lot that I was rewatching, but still a lot that I saw for the first time. And as I said, like new top faves, which is,
Right.
a tall order because the ones in my top faves list are pretty dang good. So to reach that level, it's got, and I mean, watching a lot of movies that were very good that I had never seen before, like The Birds and um like Tenebrae and uh I mean I feel like we also watched a lot of like older movies, which was nice.
I'm really looking forward to our year coming up.
We got some good ones, y'all.
Yeah. Just buckle up, WoHos. You and I next are going to look at dinner party horror with The Invitation from the US and The Feast from Wales.
Y'all, you are in for a treat. And you'd be surprised at how many movies get classified under dinner party horror. It is actually a
Really?
longer list than you'd think. But it makes sense because it is kind of like a set location. There's specific societal norms. So breaking those, you also have that kind of craziness. And they're also weird. Dinner parties are very weird. I think
Yeah.
we've all been at weird ones before. These ones get very weird.
And usually, yeah, there's like at least one person that's maybe not a part of the group.
Yeah. What's this
And
person
so
doing here?
that, introduces some conflict. We also have some shows coming up on creepy dolls, coming of age, mental illness, magical realism, slasher stalkers. I had to break the body horror into 2 categories. I'm pretty proud of that, actually. Body horror meaty and body horror metallic.
Okay, that's great.
Exploitation grim AF and cult classics. And that should take us till about the summer.
That's
So
a
I'm very
good
excited.
That's a good 6 months, honestly.
Yeah, pretty strong.
Yeah.
All right, Mac. Well, thanks again for joining me and for talking with me about all these films. And thank you, WoHos, for all your support. It means the world of horror to us truly. And we just want to tell you once again, maybe for the last time in 2023, we love you and don't go into the basement.